Dwayne, what's up?
What up, Jabe?
So you just did a podcast?
Yeah,
That was awesome. What was it about?
I got invited to do a podcast. It's called Think Your Way to an Epic Life.
Cool. And it was like a real estate podcast?
Yes, by the realtor.
You're a multi-million real estate guy.
Yeah, I thought I was going on there to talk about the gym and entrepreneurship and real estate, and it ended up turning into a recovery conversation.
Yeah, we'll have to get the link and put it in the show notes.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah. I would love to be able to do it, and we'll put that some clips and stuff like that on there.
Check that out if you get a chance.
And then also, I want to get into something today, which I think is interesting. We were talking about this at the gym, is that there has to come a point in your recovering process where you have to confront, keyword, addicts don't like to confront things. You have to confront the impact of past actions and how your past actions hurt others.
Yes, absolutely. The some of the analogies that I like is like a tornado. You know, the addict is like the tornado ripping through the lives of everyone around them. And then, getting sober, it's like you step out of the cellar, the tornado cellar, and say, man, it's great. Everything's great now. And it's not great now. There's this huge path of destruction that's been left by that tornado.
Yeah, and I want people to realize there's, Christian-based, there's all these different types of recovery programs that are out there for all different types of, whatever addiction you have. So we're not going to say anything new today.
No.
Like there's you probably, if you've gone through any type of addiction program, whether it's, in a hospital or wherever, they're going to have you do this step. Absolutely. So this step is like a step that you do in any type of basic recovery. Totally. So we're going to put a spiritual approach on it because we want you to understand what's happening, not just in the mind, but what's happening in the soul and the spirit.
Beautiful.
So, that's where we step in. That's kind of a little unique and different.
Yeah, absolutely.
Because we believe that you can actually be a recovered addict.
Right. And my soul, my spirit helps that transformation to take place. This is a vital step in regards to that transformation. I don't believe that we will get well and stay well without it.
So let's start off with you, with alcohol and cocaine. Kind of just like real quick, if you don't mind, so we can kind of get a story with this. What was some of the harm that you caused that you needed to make amends with? Because you went through this process.
Yeah. I was extremely destructive in my drinking. And, we discuss on this podcast a lot that addiction, bottles and powders and syringes and all, and whatever, food, those are all kind of like symptoms of the actual disease, of the actual ailment. And what I'm really suffering from is a disease of selfish and self-centeredness. And I kind of will run you over in order to get what I want, especially
your brother.
Yes.
Literally run over.
Literally, yes. Especially if I'm turning a blind eye to my bad behavior. If alcohol is the accelerant to my selfishness and self-centeredness, it helps me turn a blind eye to the harm I'm causing. So we have to get that harm out of the shadow and drag it into the light and become really clear on our past actions, on our past behavior, on my past selfishness. And it's a difficult thing to do, to look at the harm I've caused others.
So when the God is, let's use a bottle, alcohol. So when the God is alcohol, I'm turning a blind eye to any destructive behavior, any destructive thing I've done to someone else or to myself.
Very good.
Because my full worship and sacrifice has to go towards the bottle.
Perfect analogy.
That's what you're saying.
Perfect analogy. An obsession is a thought that blocks out all other thoughts. My brother's safety is important to me. But when I have an obsession for alcohol, his safety doesn't even enter my mind.
Yeah, and let's preface this: you're best friends with your brother now.
Yes, totally.
You've done this.
Because of this process, I have a great relationship with my brother today, and that's the miracle of healing.
Yeah, and you guys love each other, and everything's perfect. But in your addiction time, you were like, "Fuck off."
Totally. I needed to have a job. I needed to pay bills. I knew that. But when I had the worship for the bottle, when I had the obsession engage, I wouldn't show up for work.
Mm-hmm.
Didn't even enter my mind. I needed to get drunk. So some of the harms I caused, we get down to cause and effects, and we start really looking at our detailed behavior. I would never articulate out loud with my words, little brother, your safety means nothing to me.
Because your actions,
But I behave that way.
Mm-hmm.
My actions said that a lot. I would never say out loud with my words, Mom, your serenity, your sense of peace doesn't matter to me.
Mm.
But I behave that way a lot. I would never say out loud to my dad, Dad, you don't have your son anymore. I'm going to remove him from you because of his need for drugs and alcohol. But that's what I did. I took my dad's son away from him. The only boundary he had or was able to put in place was, you can't come here. I can't have this craziness on my property. So I took his son away from him with drugs and alcohol. Those are some of the really deep-seated harms that I caused as a result of my addiction.
Exes, and I mean, not just like brothers, moms,
it's not just family. This is business. I stole
bosses.
I took money from bosses, corporations.
There's a large list.
Yes, it's a huge list. I had 64 either people or entities on my list.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's big or little, but that was mine. And a lot of those harms looked like I was selfish and didn't consider you.
Yeah, and it can manifest itself in different ways, because I want people to understand this. Like me with the food addiction, in any relationship I was ever in, I never felt good enough.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when I was like 40 pounds heavier than what I am now. Try to imagine that. Here I am with this, my view, this hot chick, and here I am, a fat fuck, that can't handle food. So how can I handle her?
She would feel
and she's
that.
being nice and loving and caring, but I'm thinking about Frosted Flakes late at night when we're watching TV while she's eating celery, So it's the same scenario. I just want people to understand that. It's the exact same scenario, what you're saying. You just can hurt people in different ways.
Yeah.
Different formats.
However it manifests, whether it's food or sex or alcohol, it's still my selfishness.
Yes, 100%. Yep.
That causes harm. Mm-hmm. When I'm on the couch thinking about Frosted Flakes, I'm obsessed in my mind.
Yes.
In selfish, self-centered, focused on me rather than sharing connection with my partner.
Yeah, or that constant fear of not being good enough manifests itself in jealousy. It manifests in anger as a dude. Like there's so many ways that becomes destructive, where I've gone through lots of relationships because of that.
That's a really good point.
That's the same as the bottle.
It's my selfishness. It's my insecurity that ends up pushing the relationship away. But that's because of my addiction.
Yes.
That's because I'm so obsessed in here and I make it about me rather than doing the necessary healing work to transform who I am and start shining the light on those insecurities.
That's so good.
Start shining the light on the thing inside of me that I don't want anybody to know or see. This is shadow work, bro. This is dragging that monster into the light.
So it's not only that you have to acknowledge the harm that you caused, but then you have to be willing to make amends.
Yeah. The willingness
That's a two-step.
is fucking key. This is key. If you have listened to our podcast before, you know my story. My story starts, God willing, rock bottom in the hospital. And basically, I became willing enough to do whatever it takes to not die from my addiction. I believe it's the same willingness that propels me through this scary amends process. I'm still willing to do whatever it takes not to return to my selfish, destructive addiction. So this is something that I had to be willing to confront, willing to walk through, even though it's scary, even though it's challenging, even though a lot of people return to their addiction.
And I want people to understand, if you're just listening to us, you can't just skip right to this part.
Yeah,
there's a lot of work. Like you need to go back to our very first podcast. There's a lot of work that's happening till you get to this point.
Yeah.
So like people like to shortcut things.
Good point. Very good point.
And you can't shortcut recovery.
No.
Because you can't shortcut healing.
Excellent point. Yeah. If you jumped into this, it would be like you don't know how to swim and we're asking you to go across the
Well, people aren't
across
going to
the
believe you.
across
It's like,
the ocean.
I'm 2 days sober and I want to ask your forgiveness.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, no, I'm 6 months sober. Oh, wow. 6 months. That's amazing. So really, you're 6 months sober? Yeah, I've been going to meetings. I've been doing this. I have somebody that's watching on me, a mentor. Oh, wow. That's interesting. Yeah. And I need to talk to you about something.
Mm-hmm.
It's like that's, you got to have, you can't jump into this.
Very
like,
good. You have to have the first foundation laid before you try and walk into something like this.
But I feel like a lot of addicts need to unlock the next level. Maybe you're an addict and you're listening to this because we have a ton, because I think just about everybody has an addiction. But we have tens of thousands of people listening to this. Maybe there's someone out there that has been sober for 2-3 years, but they haven't done this yet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people like that.
Yeah.
And this is an unlock.
Correct. Yeah.
To that next level spiritually.
Sometimes good is the enemy of the best. And I'm living a good life. I'm not drinking, but I'm still super fucking selfish. I'm still pretty crazy in my head. And for me, for you, for us, especially members with individuals with an expansion practice. I'm interested in my life expanding and getting bigger. Like you said, taking it to the next level. There's a very big difference between being sober and being free.
That's so good.
I don't do this work. I can't walk around the world a free man. Let's say I owe my ex-boss a fucking amends. Let's say I harmed him and I stole money from him. What am I going to do if I bump into him at a restaurant? Do I leave the restaurant? Do I just never go there again? Do I have a fucking panic attack? Oh my God, I'm terrified now. I harmed him. Inside of me, the God consciousness knows I need to make this right.
Yes.
And if I haven't done that, I cannot move through the world a free man. I'm still in prison.
Yes.
And that prison is heavy enough to take me out. I believe I will return to my addiction if I don't address this guilt, this shadow inside of me that's eating me up.
Do you feel like whenever you embarked on this and you're kind of going down this path of leaning from service to self to a little, like you're moving the needle just a little bit to service to others, because that's what this is, from service to self, service to others. Was it like, if you can remember, was it like that very first part, even before, when it's brought to your attention that this is something that you need to do? What was that first feelings inside of you, the emotions and stuff you were going through?
Oh, resistance big time. Fuck that. I'm not going to do that. Or I'll lie. I'll say I did it and then skip this one by.
That's perfect, because that's an addict's responses to everything.
Yeah, show me the shortcut.
I'm going to skip this or I'm going to lie about it.
That's probably good for you guys, but I'm the exception to the rule.
Dude, I at work, people do that all the time.
Yes.
Like everybody does this. I'm going to skip this because it's uncomfortable, or I'm just going to lie.
Yeah, that's why in one way or another, everyone has an addiction. It's because we're obsessed with ourselves.
But what happens is, and people don't realize this is so important, guys, what Dwayne just said. It leads to compromise. I'll give you an example. It's like, for me, it's like there's certain people I know that I can't have a conversation with because they're just so toxic.
Yes.
Now, they could call me and I'm not going to answer the phone. Now, they stop calling me because I just don't want to have that conversation. Because if I do, they'll pull me in, like suck me in. And next thing you know, I'm in a negative vibration.
Yeah.
And it just kind of ruins my day. And I think about it. And then it's like, or maybe you have a toxic ex and they know how to trigger you perfectly.
Yep.
And now what have you done? You compromise. And it may not just be sleeping with them. It could be having a fight with them on the phone,
yeah.
and you know that this person is dragging you in because you haven't made amends. And we're going to get into this, but there's so many ways of forgiveness. There's so much forgiveness out there that is available to you from God.
Very good. Yes.
That you can't even fucking handle it.
Well, yes.
And forgiveness sometimes means cutting that person completely off of your life.
Yeah.
Like never talking to them again. You've had to do that with people.
This is good that we dive into the forgiveness piece.
Yes.
I do want to pull back the layer a little bit of what you just said in regards to maybe we start a fight. There's these old pattern behaviors that I'm used to, And what ends up happening is I go into the sympathetic nervous system. I engage fight or flight. Cortisol is released. I'm in fucking fight or flight. I'm prepared for battle. And that's what I'm addicted to. I'm addicted to the crazy. I'm addicted to the trauma. I'm addicted to the fucking drama. And I want more. I would never say that out loud. So we have to lay that initial groundwork to understand this is what I'm doing. I have this patterned toxic behavior that I keep returning to. And if I don't do this work, I'm not going to get better.
Yeah, it's that old statement, like sex is always better with the crazy one. You know, it's a guy or girl, whatever.
Yep.
It's like the girls are always for the bad guys.
Yeah.
And then guys are always attracted to those crazy girls that'll ruin their life.
The deeper the psychosis, the better the sex.
Isn't that so crazy?
We're pretty sick. We're not the original sickos, but we're pretty sick.
Exactly.
And now the forgiveness piece. So we've laid the groundwork. We've already done a lot of spiritual development to get to this point. We're prepared. And it's also very important to know that I'm not really doing this alone. I'm not trying to solo my spiritual development. I often have guidance, and I often have a mentor. I often have someone who has done this before me who can show me a path that works. So it's important not to stumble through the dark and try and figure this out on your own.
Can I stop you right there, because I think this is really important. You can also pray.
Absolutely.
And I don't want to get too spiritual here for some of you, because I don't want you guys turning us off, but you have a little St. Michael statue.
Oh, yeah.
For me, it's not necessarily that it's actually the actual St. Michael, but there's, for my belief is that there's a spiritual beings or being, or like Carl Jung called it, like a conscious thought. Like if we all think about St. Michael, then it creates like this conscious thought.
Collective consciousness.
Yeah, collective consciousness of this thing. So if it's comfortable for you to pray to St. Michael, pray to St. Michael. Just know that even if you feel super alone, you can always pray.
Yes.
Because people, I think, forget that part.
I love that. The willingness that propelled us in the beginning is the same willingness to tap into something bigger than myself.
Yeah, because you pray, 1,000 times a day?
I hope more.
I need to learn to pray more.
I hope more than that. The Native American saying is every step can be a prayer.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I want my whole day to be a prayer. I miss that mark all the time, but that's the goal.
So this forgiveness process, the first step, create a list of individuals we have harmed. Can you go over that part?
Yeah, it's important to get it really black and white. I need to know the list. And a list is just that. A list is just a list. Put the list down. I need to know who I harmed, and I need to know how. And then it's helpful in regards to the guidance to have someone like I would bounce off of you. Hey, Jason, I think I harmed my ex-girlfriend. This is what I did. And then you, as an individual who has done the process and has some wisdom underneath his belt, could say, you know what, Dwayne? Yeah, you're right. You really did harm her. But the best thing for you might be to leave her the fuck alone.
Yes.
You don't need to go talk to her. It's good you have her down, but don't go talk to her. You could make things even worse. So it's helpful to have guidance here. And it's also helpful. I was taught at the top of my list to pray, God, help me see the truth. God, help me see the truth.
That's a prayer.
And then write that list. If I'm willing to change, I got to be willing to be honest. I got to be honest about who goes on the list.
Yeah, and it's so when we're turning the blind eye in our addiction, and we're allowing the addiction to become our God, but we're being to the point of being cruel to people because we are turning that blind eye because we're so self-centered that all we're thinking of is that. Now we have to do something that's 180 degrees out, and that's self-reflection.
Start looking at it.
So, yeah. So before it's the blind eye, now it's the laser looking in.
Shine laser point awareness on it. The ugly thing that I've never been willing to look at. This is, great religions stole this from us thousands of years ago. And then Carl Jung, fucking he nailed it. This is the integration of the shadow.
Yeah.
This is the integration of the shadow. I have to be willing to drag that thing into the light. Come to find out, when I drag the part of me that is a monster into the light, it doesn't go away. But maybe the light has the power to transform it into something useful. Carl Jung would call it controlled aggression. With the implementation of controlled aggression, I now have some fucking teeth. I now know I'm something to contend with.
Yes.
I know that I'm a monster. This is what's said in the Bible when they say, the meek shall inherit the earth. The meek doesn't mean shy and weak. The meek means you need to have your sword, you need to know how to use it, and you need to choose not to. That's what makes me a monster. I know I'm capable of horrific shit, and today I'm choosing not to live that way. Another important piece of the controlled aggression, the integration of the shadow, is without that controlled aggression, I can't tell people no.
Well, it's also in that the more you push it down, the more it creeps out.
Yes, I still have it.
It's like churches and organizations that don't allow people to get married.
Sure.
Then now you see these scandals and stuff like that, and they're everywhere. I mean, it's not just a Catholic church. I don't want to pick on them, but you'll see this over and over and over again where people are like so many rules and so much regulations. Next thing you know, it's fucking hog wild.
Totally. Yeah.
So you can't ignore the shadow.
Correct. And there's no getting rid of it. It's not like it's gone. Now I'm just interested in shining God's light on it and making it useful. So that thing gives me enough power to tell people no. Dwayne, we got a bag of cocaine. Come on. No. That's the monster part of me that tells other people, I'm playing for higher stakes now.
That's where I think, and I'm going to piss some people off right now, and this is, I think, really important to say, this is where cheap Christianity comes in. The insurance card where I just need to, because this will let you down. And let me explain this. Where I come in, I go to church. Oh my God, I heard a powerful message. I come forward. I ask Jesus to come in my heart. I ask Jesus to save me. He's going to cleanse me from all my sins. And then I must be different or weird because I want to sin 5 days later.
Yeah.
You can't make the shadow go away. It never goes away.
No. You're just human.
And Jesus talked about this over and over and over again. And what he was, like you said, is like, go do good things. Go help people.
Yes.
Go, take that shadow that you know that's in you and transmute it into something. We talked about alchemy, so I don't want to get into that. Let me get into this, though. So self-reflection, it requires honesty and courage. Why do you think we use the word courage when it comes to taking a deep look into your past?
It takes, if you got a lot of fear, it's going to take a lot of courage to walk through whatever you're going through. And what recovery asks us to do is look at that dirty stuff. Look at the side of my side of the street. And then right now it's destroyed. It's covered in garbage. And I got to clean that up if I want to live a good life. Otherwise I could keep living in shit.
So basically kind of look at it. That's a really good analogy. Like look at it like a fucked up yard.
Yeah.
And I need, with trash and everything all over it, I need to clean it up. So when we're identifying the moments when our actions cause pain or suffering to others.
Yes. That's the trash. That's the garbage. That's the part of me that I don't want to see. I have to be willing to start to look at it in order to have a chance to transmute it into something different. If I want to have changed behavior, I need to know what fucking behavior I'm changing. So it's my selfishness. It's my dishonesty. It's my cruelty. It's my judgment. It's my inconsiderate, controlling behavior. You have human emotions? No, not possible. You want to have a piece of cake too? Couldn't fucking be true. It's mine.
Yeah.
I lived that way for years. I still live that way. I have to continue to address these nasty parts of me. And it's important to get it down on paper in order to know what I'm addressing.
Yeah, it's almost like nothing is fair. That's why I need everything.
Yeah. Yes.
So, I mean, I face that now, and that's a scarcity mentality. It's horrible. So when we're looking at the pain that we caused and the suffering that we caused in others, one of the things that we have to do is, as we're writing this list, is to approach each of these with compassion and understanding. So like when you look at understanding, because that's a big word, and I want people to, compassion we all kind of get, like, I need to be nice to myself, loving to myself, don't get so bent out of shape, when I'm writing these people like my mom, my dad, or whatever. But understanding, what does it look like when you're doing that deep work and you're looking at, oh, fuck, I did this to my brother, and then understanding the gravity, or I had a blind eye to it, so I didn't realize the hurt that I caused my brother. But now that I'm sitting here going through it and understanding it, I mean, is this a tearful moment for people?
It's crushing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I got my list down on paper, it looked like someone poured a water bottle on top.
I don't mean to laugh, bro.
On top of my paper, bro.
I saw your water bottle right there, and I was like, "Oh shit!"
I bawled like a baby.
Yeah, I could imagine
to see my selfishness, black and white, right in front of me. Another nice, not nice, but another interesting piece of the getting honest and getting it down on paper is I hadn't been honest in 8 years. And now I had a chance.
Yeah, I never thought about that.
Because I lived a dishonest lifestyle in my addiction always.
Mm-hmm.
So it was the first time in 8 years I had the opportunity to tell the truth. And I didn't want to return to the addiction. I didn't want to die. So I did it. I told the truth.
Yes.
So it was motivated out of selfish, stay alive motives, but it transformed into this will make you useful in the world. You need. I didn't want to be that type of person anymore. I didn't want to treat people. I don't want to be that type of man that compromises his brother's safety, that steals from his employer. I don't want to live that type of way. And that causes shame, that causes guilt, that causes fear, that causes anxiety. All those emotions are powerful enough to make me return to the bottle.
And that's something that you're saying right now. It's so true. It's like when you're writing this list down and you're feeling these emotions, our literature says this, when you're feeling these emotions, that guilt, shame, fear, and anxiety is going to come and hit you.
Yeah.
But you have to understand that that's the ego.
Mm-hmm.
Because the ego doesn't want to change. The ego's like, grab a bottle, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. You can control this. You're not like those guys.
That
You're not
bad.
those alcoholics.
You're not under the bridge. You're not.
Yeah. You're not. So the ego's going to play a game of control. That's what it wants to do. And you have to understand this. Your ego always wants to take control. Mm-hmm. And it's going to play games with you, and it's really smart. So you kind of have to look at, well, it appears to be smart. It's the Wizard of Oz and the behind the curtains. It looks big and scary, but it's really not. The more self-aware work you do. The guilt, shame, fear, and anxiety, these are emotions for me that let me know that I'm being selfish. So if I start feeling, unless it's like there's a tiger in front of me, but those
Correct.
fear is very rare in today's society. Some of you maybe experience it if you're living in a bad neighborhood or something. But if I start getting really anxious, I'm like, oh, this is self-pity.
Good.
Because I'm feeling anxious for what reason? Because I want to make it about me in this situation? Yeah. Because most of the time, my guilt, shame, fear, and anxiety is just me being selfish. So I'm going to instantly take that emotion, that fear or that guilt, and be like, this is the ego. This is bullshit. This is not real. This is me being selfish. Go away. And instantly, the ego has to leave, especially if I pray.
Yeah. I'm so proud of you and your practice. Like, that's a heavy duty practice. That's spiritual awakening.
Well, I mean, you do the same thing.
Yeah.
You're like, this isn't real. This is not real.
We share this practice.
I mean, you say that all the time.
That's not real.
Yeah.
That's my fear. Oh, that's anxiety. Oh, that's not real. It's just the mind trying to worry. Worry pretends to be necessary. And it's not. Good. It's not necessary. I can choose to not allow my mind to go down the rabbit hole and lose the present moment.
Well, if I'm going to be a new person, the Bible talks about this in the New Testament. If I'm going to be this new creature in Christ, have Christ consciousness, if I'm going to be this new creature, it says old things have to pass away.
Yes.
So what causes my actions is my thoughts. So the guilt, fear, worry, anxiety, all of those are the old Jason. Mm-hmm. The new Jason can't have that in his life. They're going to creep up, of course, but they're going to creep up less and less and less the more spiritual practices I do.
Yes, yeah.
So, I mean, there's still, out of 60,000 thoughts or whatever you say we have a day, I still have 59,000 that are negative. But hey, I've conquered 1,000.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I'll work my whole life to get to the
Bump
2,
those
the
numbers
3.
up.
Yeah.
So we start experiencing those moments of freedom.
Yes, that's what that is.
What we're discussing is freedom. There's a difference between being sober, not practicing my addiction, and being free. Because I could still be bent up in my mind, not participating in my substance.
Yeah, and taking responsibility of our actions and then seeing what our actions, crystal clear, seeing what they did to others. This is where we get into 2 big words that I want everyone to understand, and that's accountability and self-awareness. This is the spiritual practice.
Yes.
So now I'm like looking, and I want you to talk about this, taking responsibility of our past actions. What is that like for you, Dwayne, when you began, like when you went and talked to these people, like physically had conversations, whether it was on the phone or whatever, did you feel like you were taking responsibility, or did you just suck the whole way through? But then afterwards.
So this process is a very beautiful process, bro. It's transformative. There's a lot of God that takes place in the middle of it that's difficult to articulate.
There's a miracle that happens.
Yes, and it's important to understand, too, that the entire process of recovery, no matter where you're at, if you're at the beginning, middle, and continuing to evolve, all of it is taking responsibility. We like to say that recovery, short form recovery is take responsibility for your fucking life. That's recovery, like boom, the clip notes. However, Jordan Peterson would say the antidote to suffering is truth and responsibility. Tell the truth and take responsibility for your happiness, your role, your life. And what that looks like in the amends process is guidance and preparation. So I'm very clear on the harm I've caused. I've got that down. I have guidance from someone who has done this before and told me that belongs in there, that belongs in there. Oh, that doesn't belong in there. Get that out. Get that out. That'll cause more harm if you say that. Don't say that. So I have guidance. And then there's a very clear I'm so grateful for the way that I was taught to do this, bro. There's a portion of the amends process where we get to, where we say, did I leave anything out? And we allow the other person to speak as well. It's not just me dominating an apology. And then we try and make it right. I ask if there's anything I can do to make it right. And then we make a commitment to never practice that type of behavior again. An amendment is kind of like if I take a ripped piece of clothing to a tailor and I say, can you mend this? The tailor puts it back together. So that's what this process is about. It's about putting that relationship, the harm that I caused to the other individual, it's about putting the relationship back together. I sat in front of my brother and I told him, I said, I haven't been a good big brother to you because of my addiction. I said, these are the things I did. I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. I did X, Y, and Z. I went down the list. And then I got to that portion. I said, now, is there anything that I left out? And I was a blackout drinker, so I left out a lot. And most people didn't say that. They didn't say much when I got to that part. But he was
That's
prepared.
good. Yeah.
He was prepared. He said, yeah, you did. You left something out, Dwayne. I said, okay, well, what did I leave out? He said, well, you don't know the role you made me play in the family. I said, what do you mean?
That's so good. Yes.
He said, well, I was 15 years old. You were drunk, and I had to protect everyone from you. He said, you stole my adolescence. That's what he told me. Now, do I want to be that type of man that took someone's adolescence away from him? So the amendment is powerful enough for me to start practicing different behavior.
But that was good that you asked that question, because he wouldn't have said that.
He gave me a gift, bro.
Yeah,
He gave me a huge gift. I never would have known
that
that's what I did to him.
And then that, once it was in the light, then you were able to ask forgiveness for that.
And I made a commitment not to ever be that type of man again. So my behavior had to change. When I was living in Taos and my girlfriend at the time got pregnant and she moved to Albuquerque, that same brother was already here in Albuquerque. You know what he said? He said, hey, come down here, live with me. I was like, are you serious? He was like, yeah, when the baby's born, I'll help you raise the baby. And you could go back to school. You can go back to school and I'll tutor you. My brother has his master's degree in infectious disease from Johns Hopkins and his doctorate's from UNM. He's now at Boston Dermatology. Kid's fucking liquid in school. I was like, you fucking tutor me? You help me go to school? He's like, yeah. I moved in with him. And when the baby was born and I was at my wit's end and I didn't know what to do, he would say, give her to me. He saved her life. He would step in and help me parent. And I got my best friend back because of that amends.
All from that.
All
from what we're talking about.
From him telling me,
that's so good.
You stole my adolescence, and me being willing not to be that type of man again. I was at a restaurant. It's a high-end restaurant here in Albuquerque. I was already sober. I was doing dishonest stuff with the tips. I was adjusting the tips in my favor. I was adding gratuity, and that was a practice that wasn't allowed in this restaurant. It was done by everybody, but it wasn't allowed. And I did it, and I was made an example of. I got let go of this from this restaurant. And I had a huge resentment towards my boss. I was like, fuck, man, F that guy. He didn't know who I am. Don't you know I make him so much money? I'm one of his best employees. He should never let me go. And anyways, we got it down on paper with the guidance of a mentor. And I knew that I owed him an amends for taking this money from customers that I shouldn't have taken. And at the time, my stepsister was going to get married in Jerusalem. And I was heading to the Holy Land. I'm going to Jerusalem. Oh my God, this is going to be fucking awesome. And you know me, I'm a gym rat. I'm obsessed and addicted to the gym. So before my flight to Jerusalem, I went to the gym. Got on the stairs, started doing my normal. You guys know my routine. I pray as I exercise. I pray as I do cardio. And I'm on the stairs. God, I invite you into this trip to Jerusalem. I'm going to the Holy Land. Whatever you would like to take place here on this trip, I invite you to bring that into my life. That exact moment, my ex-boss walked into the gym. I was like, I didn't mean right now. I didn't mean this second. I didn't mean that.
I always love God's timing.
I was prepared. I knew I owed him an amends. I knew the harm I had done. I was very clear. I got down on paper. Boom. Beelined to him. I said, hey, how are you doing, man? Can I talk to you real quick? This is what I did. I was not a good employee for you. This is what I did. I was wrong. Did I leave anything out? Is there something I can do to make it right? He embraced me and gave me a big hug. He said, Dwayne, all is forgiven. Don't even worry about it.
That's so awesome.
That's how I kicked off my trip to the Holy Land, turning to God and having him work in my life. Do you know how free I felt? I could now go to that restaurant and not have a panic attack and not think I don't belong here, or not think I owe this person something. I could walk around the world a free man.
That's so awesome, bro. That's amazing. And we're going to have a part 2 because I want to get more heavy. We don't have enough time now, but I want to get in the next episode, I want to get more heavy into the amends part and what that looks like with humility, compassion.
Yes.
And then how to have an open heart. Because I think that's really, really important.
Very good.
Thank you for sharing.
Thanks, bro.